And welcome to the SnapLogic session at the Enterprise Integration Summit, where we'll learn the benefits of deploying a modern AI-driven integration approach for both IT, responsiveness, and business outcomes. Our guide this morning, terrific to have with us Michael Nixon, Vice President Cloud Data Warehousing from SnapLogic. Michael, welcome.
Hi, Vance. Happy to be here.
Yeah, we're happy to have Michael with us too. He is an industry veteran focused these days on AI augmentation for data integration across on-premise and cloud, including automation and orchestration. He is with SnapLogic's intelligent integration platform and brings today a broad level of expertise in AI, data integration, cloud, and more. And the session today is appropriately entitled AI and Modern Integration, Accelerating Business Outcomes and Shoring Up Skills Gaps. You know, as cloud apps and data explode, enterprises see the need to level up their integration to be more intelligent. Yet, I'm sure many of you know, shortages of skilled staff and IT budgets can impede such efforts. Luckily for us, Michael is here to show us how modern AI-aided integration provides a foundation for responsive IT solutions that deliver business goals that require integration and connectivity. Just a quick reminder, to begin this great session, you can download Michael's slides. Just click the big red button on the view screen. You'll see some other valuable downloads and resources, even access to a free trial, all just one click away. And we love to have you interact with our speakers. So to ask Michael a question, just type in that submit a question box. So Michael, great to have you here. Tell us about AI and modern integration.
Well, great, Vance. Thank you. I'm delighted to be here. Welcome, everyone, to this session. And as Vance mentioned, we're going to focus in on modern integration, highlighted with AI augmentation. And at the end of the day, we'll outline how this can help you accelerate business outcomes, and even in cases where perhaps you have skills gaps within your environment, how our technology can help with that. So let's just begin by kicking some things off here. And at the top, I like to always focus in on the business outcome. And by this, I mean, what is it that every organization wants? And I come from a perspective of being in an integration industry, and then prior to that, being in a cloud data warehousing space for a number of years with a very hot, popular cloud data warehouse platform. And I can tell you, having spoken with many of our users, many, I would say, IT managers, whether they're our customer or not, there are some common theme, a red thread, if you will, that cuts across every organization. And I would say that everyone, regardless of the technology that they implement and who they're reviewing, at the end of the day, what they really want is transformation that delivers products and services to market faster. They also want solutions that enable delightful customer experiences among their customer base, whether those customers are internal or external. And then also within their environment, they want to have empowered people achieving amazing business results. So what that all translates to at the bottom line is better business value and faster outcomes from data. And again, this is what every company wants. And it's surprising to me that regardless of the fabric of the company and the industry that they're in, everyone seems to be pursuing those common objectives. So if we take it a level deeper, typical business needs would suggest like marketing teams want to spot trends to engage in, sales and business analysts want to develop customer insights to act on, data scientists require data to build and train and refine their models, and corporate apps require input data to perform their operations. And lastly, business units or lines of businesses want to develop data products and deliver collaborative services from that data. And so if you consider those are the business needs, and of course, stop me if you've heard this before, because I'm sure you all have. The current challenges are cost and availability of resources is highly volatile. And in today, in the economic climate of higher interest rates, costs related to those resources, of course, are escalating. And then to compare that with demands from business partners are increasing, and change frequency from the business is accelerating. It's all summarizing to mean shorter time to deliver those outcomes. And so here's just a few business stats to back that up. If you're in the IT department, no doubt you're feeling the strain because there's an 87% workload increase among IT departments. And then lastly, 48% of your time is spent on integrating new applications and platforms. And all of this, of course, has grown dramatically over the last few years with the nonstop growth and proliferation of applications. And so what modern organizations require these days is end-to-end data workflows. And from our perspective, a data workflow, in effect, is a data pipeline. Or if you see it the other way, a data pipeline is a data workflow. And so we see it beyond just moving data from point A to point B. We're talking about orchestrating those business processes all across your environment. So what that means typically, however, when you approach other vendors or consider other approaches, achieving those end-to-end workflows involves a lot of pain and friction. And what you see represented here by this illustration is each of those red blocks represent a different function, if you will, as data transverses from ingestion into transformation, into enriching that data, into ultimately amplifying that data back out into the organization, whether it be through maybe a classic sort of analytics use case where perhaps you're connecting Tableau, Looker, or BI Insights, name your tool of choice to run analytics, or whether you're pushing data back out or enrich data, in this case, into Salesforce, maybe customer churn data or something like that, or you're the data scientist, as I mentioned before, trying to build and train your models. The problem is that normally there's a different tool for each of those stages, from syncing to transform to enrichment to amplify. And that's what you see represented by this illustration. And all of that is a pain to each of you, and you know this. And so with different tools for different data sources and job, manual coding to prepare, cleanse, and ready that data creates a complex architecture, not only due to those different tools that create tool sprawl, but also time-consuming maintenance of those pipelines. At the end of the day, it means long time to value and integration delays, obviously not very desirable. And so a better way from SnapLogic point of view is we have one platform that allows you to handle the data ingestion, to integrate into your environment, and then ultimately through business logic that's embedded in the pipeline, because we have an event-driven architecture, you can automate business processes, because business processes are essentially stitched together applications where you're sharing operational data. And by being able to automate that data flow, you can therefore bring more automation into your environment. But let's say beyond automation, you want to orchestrate the end result of data throughout your organization. Now, with our capabilities, you don't have to invoke another tool for that. So just look at this as a continuum, right? Integrate, automate, and orchestrate the flow of the data from your data warehouse and across your entire enterprise environment. And this is where we excel. And we're able to do this, namely because if you are unfamiliar with SnapLogic, what we have is a platform that has multifunction. And those multifunctions include your traditional iPaaS type of capabilities where you're stitching together applications. And I mean beyond just single point-to-point integration, but you can have multiple applications strung together through our integration platform. And then we also include classic data integration, where you're moving data perhaps from point A to point B, or you're consolidating multiple data sources into a cloud data warehouse, whatever the case may be. And then more recently, over the last year and a half to 2 years, we've built up our platform to include more native API management capabilities. And what we mean here is creating and developing APIs, as well as giving you the tools necessary to administer those APIs. Things like our developer portal that gives you cataloging into third-party APIs if you adopt them into your environment, or allowing you to have a portal that offloads from your developers the task of signing up subscribers to your APIs, and doing things like policy checks, policy updates, revision, and so forth. So in other words, full lifecycle management is available through our platform with our APIM solution. And when I say full lifecycle management, I mean full API lifecycle management. So taken together, you can accelerate business outcomes, minimize cost of operations, and maximize flexibility, again, from an end-to-end workflow perspective. And that's what we're all about at a high level. So without getting into the weeds, let's talk a little bit more about why SnapLogic and how we can orchestrate different use cases, beginning with, for example, perhaps your goal is to modernize your environment, digital transformation, in other words. And there are a couple of ways you can do that. You can move data from your legacy environment and push it into the cloud. We support, as you would expect, popular cloud data warehouses like Amazon Redshift, Google BigQuery, and Snowflake. Or perhaps you put an API in front of that legacy technology, and your legacy technology, therefore, is plugged into your modern architecture. The value of perhaps keeping your legacy technology is that you lengthen the life of that technology and therefore boost investment protection. And I've already spoken just briefly about data consolidation. You can push data consolidation, meaning multiple sources of data, into a cloud data warehouse. You can consider ultimately multiple sources of data. Those sources of data could be application data. It can be other databases as implied through data consolidation, and or application data. And application data, by the way, in our environment does not have to be pushed into a centralized location. It can be application to application integration. So therefore, it could be more operational in nature as opposed to integrating data for post-operational or post-production analytics. And then another few use cases here, data orchestration, meaning now that the data is in a cloud data warehouse, you can push it back out into an application. So say, for example, under the scenario, perhaps you're reading in opportunity data from Salesforce, and you would like to maybe predict whether or not that customer will ultimately be, or whether that prospect will be a customer. So perhaps there's some algorithm or some patterns that you can detect through operations and have a bit of a forecast, if you will, of whether or not that particular prospect will become a customer, and you can push it back out into Salesforce so that analytics is accessible through Salesforce without having to have a individual that's more comfortable with Salesforce go into the cloud data warehouse. Or another use case could be if you have existing customers, maybe you're using HubSpot rather than Salesforce. Let's say you have HubSpot customer profile information, and you have a track record of support services being captured in HubSpot, meaning you're summarizing engagements or you're tracking tickets and what have you. And maybe through your analytics of that data, you can predict whether or not a customer will churn. And again, you can bring that data into a cloud data warehouse, do that analytics, and then push it back out to HubSpot, where that data is accessible through HubSpot. So all of that just means reverse ETL, meaning unloading the data from the data warehouse and pushing it back out to the application. We can accommodate that in SnapLogic. Another area of use case, or other areas for use cases, would be in terms of the traditional BI or headless BI. Headless BI would be driven, in this case, by the combination of the data being accessible in the cloud data warehouse by way of APIs. So therefore, you can have different front-end tools to perform those analytics. The more traditional approach would have been you connect from the BI tool of choice through JDBC or ODBC type connectivity, but that also means that BI tool is locked into that data warehouse. But what if you want to change tools quickly and you don't want to have to go through a reconnect? Perhaps a better way would be to access the data through APIs, and the system will be smart enough to know whether to share the data or not share the data. And maybe even more, a more sophisticated use case based on the type of query that's being performed or a dashboard query that's being performed, that can trigger a flow of data, meaning pipelines that are orchestrated by the integration platform, so you don't manually have to create those pipelines. So that represents headless BI. And then closing out a use case would be API-led data services, meaning you're using APIs to share data. Maybe you have a need to create data products and you want to commercialize those data products. and share it among others or put it on a marketplace or what have you. But again, in summary, all of that can be achieved through SnapLogic. Hence, you see the rainbow over the cloud there, typifying that all of this can be achieved with one platform, and that's not SnapLogic. Now, how do we accomplish these kind of things? So this slide gives you a sense of how we do that and what products you would engage with us in that case. And so if you're unfamiliar with SnapLogic, what we have is a designer user interface, or a user interface that's called designer. And with that interface, you can create custom pipelines, and we refer to it as dragging and snapping various components together. What we build here at SnapLogic is a concept called snaps. These snaps are functional building blocks that you can stack together or attach together, much like you would a Lego set. And you would begin with one snap, then maybe that snap would be read data, then another snap, which would be map that data, then another snap might be read that data into a file, or write that data into a file, I should say. And so you string together multiple snaps, then you have a full workflow. That was just a data integration workflow that I explained, but we can have complete business processes where perhaps connectivity into an application is created, and then data flow from that application can be pushed into another application based on some conditional logic. And then if there's an error in the process, you can invoke a child pipeline that produces perhaps an email alert in the case of the error. And that's just another example of the types of workflows we can create with our standard designer interface. And so this would be our full-powered integration designer with the AI assistance. Now, about AI with SnapLogic, and I'll have a built-in demonstration in just a few moments. We use AI as an augmentation tool. So instead of doing much of what I just mentioned in terms of constructing a pipeline manually, you can rely on our AI solution to build that pipeline. So based on perhaps a single snap that is dragged onto the designer, and then maybe a second snap that you pull into the designer, we can, through our AI, suggest the next step in a process based on the build history or the usage data in our platform. And we can suggest next steps along the way until that pipeline is complete. Now, our AI technology is referred to as Iris. And Iris gives you that next step recommendation, but it can also suggest complete pipelines. And I'll be excited to show you a demo of that, as I mentioned, in just a few moments. Then from a instant data ingestion tool, we have a new solution called SnapLogic AutoSync. And SnapLogic AutoSync is a solution that will provide you prepackaged pipelines, if you will, just based on the parameters that you establish through the UI. And through instant data ingestion, that saves you the effort of building the pipeline. So based on the parameters that you select, we present the pipeline and off you go. And as part of that, we also perform the maintenance on that pipeline, including performance optimization. So it makes managing workflows easy. Now, if you want to take it a step further and allow your teams to prep their own data, we have a tool called SnapLogic Auto Prep, and Auto Prep gives you a drag and drop experience to cleanse and prepare data. And we also enable you, as I mentioned before, to do transformation either in the pipeline or push down transformation into a cloud data warehouse, which would be the ELT sort of approach. And so this is appearing in the automate area because, again, based on your actions, we can trigger the data workflow. And another advantage with SnapLogic, moving to the right here, is we have the ability to have recallable patterns. These patterns are saved in our product catalog, and through either a search function or through our Iris AI, we can recommend full complete patterns for you. And then further to the right, the API solution for SnapLogic provides you the ability to secure and manage APIs. And then lastly, if you wanted to have a workflow that pushed data back out into your environment, you would take advantage of reverse ETL type of capabilities, again, constructed through a pipeline. So let's take a look at product in action. So here we have a demo of Iris, and Iris is demonstrating here that based on a initial snap that you drag onto the designer, which is the file reader snap, and then something in the middle, which is a copy snap. Then lastly, you're going to present or make that pipeline accessible through a REST API. Iris detected a pipeline that looked similar, and that's what you see with the cursor moving along on the bottom there. Your choice as to whether you want to use that pipeline or continue on constructing the pipeline using AI recommendations. So this is a pretty cool feature, because what it effectively means is that you're able to speed up deployments by having this self-building pipeline capability, and all of it is powered by Iris. And so as we get more usage data from your environment, then more pipelines will be available for you to choose from. That is when it's specific to your environment. Plus, we have the patterns catalog, as I mentioned before. So this is illustrating SnapLogic in action with Iris AI. So another technology which I previously mentioned, which is auto prep, is being illustrated here. This slide is demonstrating auto prep in action. Auto prep is our Excel-like tool where you can use point and click capabilities, i.e. a wizard-like approach to prep your data. And it significantly speeds up the task of preparing and cleansing data. In fact, we have a demo on our website that will illustrate the task of updating 15 fields out of 30 in a JSON document and getting it done in roughly 3 minutes. If you were to do the same updates or the same 15 fields using JavaScript, the task would take close to 15 minutes. And so pretty significant savings in time. And so I encourage you to go out to our website and check out that side-by-side comparison. But this is SnapLogic Auto Prep, and it requires no coding, and it enables preparation of data to be accomplished by nearly anyone. It could be an IT person, or it can be a technically savvy business person. And so with that point made, I want to now review how we look at managing an environment from a SnapLogic perspective and how we can empower citizen integrators. And SnapLogic, the best way to look at it is like a middleware, a modern middleware solution where you can have SnapLogic as the core platform that enables IT or citizen developers, say these could be your more technically savvy citizen integrators that use our designer interface to build their pipelines, a bespoke pipeline, if you will, or using AutoSync, which would be our solution for business analysts to help them ingest data, maybe from a popular data source like Salesforce and moving it into Snowflake. Or you can have your application developers engage in SnapLogic and create their APIs. And so you can have these different user experiences while at the same time allowing central control and governance and security through IT or whoever the lead technical person is within your business group. And so how SnapLogic is different in that regard, therefore, is now you can have one platform with ETL capabilities, with ELT capabilities, and ELT in this case means push down optimization, take SQL scripts and push it down into your cloud data warehouse. And you can have API creation and management, full lifecycle management capabilities for APIs through our API IAM solution that includes developer portals, a low-code, no-code environment, plus native AI augmentation. And I should mention, by the way, our AI has been shipping now for well over 6 years. And over that time, we've accumulated petabytes of metadata. And looking into the future, we'll be able to use that metadata to train our Iris capabilities as we advance it. And that includes, for example, employing ChatGPT type capabilities. And once again, if you were to go out to our website, we provide a demo of ChatGPT in action, which we refer to in our environment as Snap GPT. So go check that out. And so in comparison to other approaches like manual coding, which is the type of alternative we run into most often, you can see SnapLogic has the advantage of being one platform enabling you to accomplish these different things. And compared to specific tools that are designed for ETL or ELT or reverse ETL or specifically for app-to-app integration, you can see how SnapLogic compares and has an advantage. So once again, what makes SnapLogic different is one tool enabling you to cut complexity, simplify your stack, and this all translates into eliminating duplicate costs and maybe in the end saving you some money through your budget, but ultimately it allows you to deploy integrations faster and across your entire enterprise. And so if you were to think of alternatives in terms of whether they're easy to use or whether they can scale, this is a chart that gives you relative positioning. So you have your legacy integration platforms. They might have great scale, but they're hard to use. Why are they hard to use? Because they lack tooling like AI augmentation to build those integrations. So they're not as modern. Then maybe you have work or task integration platforms. This would be something like RPA platforms or screen scraping technology that's integrated into the rest of your environment. These might be very easy to use, or maybe they're segmented across a specific business use case. Well, that's great. But unfortunately, if you need to scale up into your environment or scale across your environment, they come up short. And the same with RPA platforms, but I just implied that through the previous statement. And then increasingly, you see data warehouse tools embedding more integration capabilities into the data warehouse, i.e. virtualization, or if you prefer, lock-in. Now, they might be able to achieve a decent amount of scale, but they're hard to use because if you have embedded integration tools in a data warehouse, that generally implies that you have to be a data engineer with some scripting skills and capabilities, and that pretty much blocks having a business user to use that type of technology to build their integrations. And so SnapLogic, where we feel we are positioned, is in the upper right, where you have the advantage and the combination of being enterprise scale along with ease of use. So don't take my word for it. Consider feedback from one of our customers. Jamie Locks here, VP of Integration and App Development with Schneider Electric. His quote is, of all the integration tools that I've asked my team and our citizen developers to evaluate, which vary, by the way, these individuals from very basic to experts. When he asked his team and he challenged them all to propose a more user-friendly solution than SnapLogic, no one could. So that is just a testament to how SnapLogic can be brought into your environment, modernize integration, take advantage of AI to speed up those integrations and make it more accessible to other individuals. Then that is where we usually excel, and I invite you to explore more from us on our website. So here are some examples, successes expanding beyond the Schneider Electric use case. So across digital transformation, headless BI, data sharing and communication and data services, you see a series of customers where they had specific challenges of which they were trying to overcome, and SnapLogic was brought in to help them either speed up time to value from integration or to easily manage and secure access to legacy technology through APIs, and or allowing them to unlock the value of their data via APIs and sharing and collaborating that data. So I don't really need to read through each of these slides because you can see and read for yourself the summary. And so at the end, winding down our time here, what it really comes down to is, in the end, SnapLogic, we're delivering better business value and outcomes from data, and we enable that faster through our environment. So I hope in this time we've given you enough to consider when evaluating an integration platform to consider SnapLogic. All right. So SnapLogic, in summary, is an intelligent integration platform that can integrate, automate, and orchestrate the flow of data across your enterprise, empowering IT and business teams to deliver better business value and outcomes from data faster. And that's what we're all about at SnapLogic. And I want to thank you for your time. Now that concludes our formal presentation. So I'd like to turn it back over to you now, Vance, for questions.
Awesome. Michael, really great session, a really, really fast-paced overview, a lot going on in modern integration and AI. And as you might expect, we've got some great feedback from attendees, got some questions here. So with your permission, let's ask you some questions.
But of course, I would love to take them.
You know, Michael, that idea of snaps, some people I think might be familiar with it. We didn't have a lot of time to go under the cover beyond the cool GUI demo you gave us. It's a great model for integration. And the question here says, are snaps simply API connectors like I would find in other iPads? There seems to be a lot more functionality going on.
The snaps are functions that are pre-built. Functions could be connectivity, it could be transformation, it could be mapping. And there are a variety of snaps to do a variety of things. It could be loading data, it could be moving data, it could be manipulating data, any number of things. And we package it up as a snap and make that available as a graphical user interface object that you drag onto your screen desktop, which we refer to as your canvas. And then you assemble them together like Lego blocks to create a final product. And that final product ultimately will be a workflow, or it could be a business process. It could be a data integration. It can take on a variety of forms.
Yeah, it's really fantastic, Michael. It's a real rich, full-featured look at an operational pipeline, not just a mock-up and not just a connector. It's a really great paradigm you've got in talking about modern integration. And the follow-up question here says, what is the role of AI in either helping SnapLogic design snaps or helping the user deploy them?
Well, AI is used as an augmentation tool. So instead of every individual manually constructing a pipeline from the first step to the second step to the third step or the fourth step, wouldn't it be great if each of the pipelines that were built in our environment were captured in terms of how they were used, how they're interconnected together? And that's exactly what we do. We engage in monitoring the usage, and it creates metadata, and we are able to synthesize that data using AI and some neural net capabilities to predict a step in a particular data flow based on how a person starts. So they start with their first snap, then there'll be a recommendation based on what's commonly used next in that snap. So look at it like this, where you go to an online e-tailer and you select products and you buy a product, and then your history is maintained such that every time you go back to that retailer, they will present product recommendations based on your previous web surfing habits within their environment or your buying habits within their environment. In principle, that's what we do. And we use AI modeling and neural net capabilities to bring to you those next step recommendations. It looks simple in its implementation, but it's pretty sophisticated behind the scenes with over petabytes of metadata driving the recommendations these days. And you can recommend a single snap, or you can recommend a full pipeline. And what this does is it relieves the individual from the burden of having to be technically astute on all aspects of SnapLogic, because the AI will take care of it for you. And into the future, we'll be embedding more AI capabilities where you can employ ChatGPT 4, for example, in our environment, and we refer to that as SnapGPT. So this would give you the English natural language capabilities to make a request of the platform, and it will build the pipeline for you. And we have a demo actually working on our website, and I invite you to go out and take a look.
Michael, AI is certainly the flavor of the moment, but we've got other concerns with some of our attendees here too, and this one really caught my eye. It says API management has become a bit of a nightmare for us. We're drowning in APIs, and many of the developers who built them have left. What does SnapLogic have that would help us gain more control over our APIM?
With our APIM solution, not only can you develop and service API calls, but you have tooling that allows you to do things like documenting APIs, managing version releases of APIs, and implementing a full subscription publication sort of implementation, for example, PubSub through our API. So everything you need from a full lifecycle management point of view can be orchestrated through SnapLogic. And that's how we can help companies where they have a growing number of APIs that they need to manage underneath their environment. So through our APIM solution, you can manage that more effectively.
Michael, this has been great. I see time is just about up. But just before we go, SnapLogic has got a very embracive, almost holistic approach to integration. You've got the snaps, you've got AI, you've got the idea of supporting APIs in the same platform. You're really doing a lot with the BI and analytics support, moving data to the cloud. What, in your view, excites you most about what's going on with the SnapLogic approach here in 2023 and even beyond?
So what excites me most about SnapLogic is when you think of a system and you think about what type of system gives you the highest value, normally, in a majority of the cases, it will be the type of platform that allows you to do more things from a single point of control or a single pane of glass or a single touch point. And you think about smartphone, say you have a smartphone in your hand. These days, you can't imagine having a life without a smartphone, meaning a device that only allowed you to make a phone call. Now, these days, you have to have more utility at your fingertips. And what gets me excited about SnapLogic is how we give you that multifunction capabilities from a very easy to use platform. And easy to use isn't just a series of words with us, it's truly something we deliver that allow you to tackle your toughest integration challenges. And you take all of that and you layer in our head start with AI. And with that sort of foresight, I believe we're well positioned to take our customers into the future as they need more modern capabilities to bring together their data and their applications and business processes. And that, to me, is very exciting.
Michael, this has been exciting and really terrific engagement from the attendees, and we love talking to you. In the time we have left, give us a recommendation of what next steps people can take to learn more about SnapLogic. I know we were a bit rushed on the demos, but I think that folks would love to go hands-on and get really technical and geeky and also get more about your vision. It's been a great session.
Yes, certainly. I invite individuals to go out and visit our website. And as you would expect, our website holds a lot of information to overview SnapLogic and provide you resources that you can tap into, white papers, ebooks, data sheets, and illustrated videos. And you'll find it all on our website and SnapLogic's YouTube channel. If you still would like to have even more information, we invite you to give us a call or contact us. There's a contact us form available on our website, and we'll be happy to engage with you.
Michael, great list, great recommendations. In fact, some of those, we've actually loaded some of your material, including the link to the free trial, right here in the breakout room of the show. So folks that want to go forward as a first step, let me just share with the attendees, you've got some links here right in the room that you can begin to poke around in. And as Michael says, there is a ton of resource at the SnapLogic website. We didn't have room for everything. So here's a slide. It'll take you directly to the SnapLogic website and many of the other resources that Michael mentioned. All these links will be live. Just download Michael's slide deck and you'll be able to get right to these resources. Michael Nixon, Vice President, Cloud Data Warehousing at SnapLogic. Thanks again for a great session and a terrific, engaging Q&A.
Great, Vance. Once again, thank you for the invitation. Happy to be here.
Yeah, it was totally our pleasure. And thanks again to the audience for some really great questions. Thanks again, everyone.